Yo, what's good everyone? Today I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite cash game plays for this Week 7 NFL DraftKings main slate. Let's dive right into it. And like I always do here in these videos, I'm going to give you a high-level overview of my cheat sheet, breaking down some of my favorite cash game plays for this weekend. But as always, want to recommend here joining my free Discord channel. You can see that mentioned above. We have close to 800 people in there now talking multiple different sports for DFS and their favorite sports bets. If you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below, as well as in the pinned comment below. With that being said, let's dive into this cheat sheet here, starting with the quarterbacks. And I don't know how we don't talk about Jaden Daniels. Not only is this a great matchup this week against the Carolina Panthers, but this guy is what we look for in our cash game lineups at the quarterback position. He's been good at throwing the ball, but more importantly, he brings that rushing upside that we love. That really gives him a safe floor in cash games, plus a massive ceiling. So his price continues to go up week after week, but for all the right reasons, and I do think he's a cash game play again this week. But Geno Smith, in my opinion, is offering the best value here at $5,800. Been super solid this year, and honestly, probably has some positive regression coming his way in the touchdown department. So at $5,800, we need, what, 18 DraftKings points for him to meet 3x value. I'm definitely on board with that this week. But if you really want to save some money here, you could go with Andy Dalton. That Washington Commanders secondary is just not very good. Dalton's been solid enough to put in our cash game lineups, but honestly, I think I'll just find that extra $600 to get up to Geno Smith. Now, moving on to the running backs here, and the first guy that I got is Kyren Williams of the Los Angeles Rams. Expensive price tag there at $8,100, but when we're talking about our cash game lineups, we're looking for guys who are heavily involved, seeing a lot of opportunity and volume, and that's exactly what Kyren Williams is giving us. He's heavily involved in the running game, obviously, but more importantly, especially on DraftKings with the PPR format, he's heavily involved in the passing game. Now, this is a great matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders as well, but this guy, no matter what, if they're winning or losing, he's going to be touching the ball, so I will spend up for that price at $8,100. But with that being said, I really like the 6K range for running backs this week as well. For whatever reason, DraftKings just doesn't want to price up Chuba Hubbard of the Carolina Panthers, and maybe it's because he plays for the Carolina Panthers, but again, when we're talking about our cash game lineups, we're looking for opportunity and volume, and that is exactly what Hubbard gives us. Heavily involved in the running game, and he's now seen 4+ targets in 5 straight weeks. Again, whether they're winning or losing, which they're likely losing in this game and trailing from behind, Hubbard is going to be involved in that offense. And not to sound like a broken record, but that's what we're getting out of Tony Pollard here, the Tennessee Titans too. Just so much opportunity right now, involved in the passing game, and I don't mind that matchup against the Buffalo Bills either, who have not been good at stopping the run this year. And I'm going to put Kenneth Walker there as an honorable mention. It is a decent matchup here this week. He's been heavily involved in the passing game, but I just think at $7,300, I'm not going to be able to get there. I like Hubbard and Pollard a lot more for $1,000 cheaper. Now, folks, before we dive into the wide receiver plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. It's completely free to sub to this channel, and I'm going to have football content coming out for you guys throughout the remainder of the year. Alright, now diving into these wide receiver plays here, the first guy that I got is Justin Jefferson, and honestly everyone, I did go back and forth as my top wide receiver play between him and Amon-Ra St. Brown, which you can see is listed below as an honorable mention. I have no problem rostering either one of these guys. I lean towards Jefferson, but there's absolutely a case to be made that Amon-Ra St. Brown is the better play. But what I'm looking at in this game where they are playing one another is who's going to have success throwing the ball, because both of those run defenses are truly elite, top of the league. So whichever team finds success throwing the ball in this game is likely going to have themselves a day. Again, can't go wrong with either one of those guys, both elite wide receivers in this league, but I do lean towards Jefferson myself. With that being said, just like the running backs, I like the 6K range here too. Drake London is just continuously getting better with Kirk Cousins week in and week out. We need to keep an eye on Tariq Woolen here, the cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks. If he plays, maybe we downgrade London just a little bit, but again, he's seeing double-digit targets week in and week out, heavily involved in the red zone and towards the goal line. I like him at that price there at $6,900. Now, Deontay Johnson, just like last week, I like Chuba Hubbard a little bit more than I like Johnson, but I wouldn't blame you for playing that guy either. $6,600 for a guy who's seeing close to double-digit targets week in and week out. It's hard to ignore that. Again, we're searching for volume and targets here when it comes to our cash game lineups. And then speaking of volume, Juju Smith-Schuster was awesome in week 5, saw 9 targets, 8 catches, over 100 receiving yards, and just far too cheap here at $4,000. He is battling a hamstring injury right now, so we need to keep an eye on that, but I'll be giving updates on that in my Discord channel. Again, completely free to join. You can see that mentioned above. One last guy that I want to talk about here, though, is Terry McLaurin. I think he's fine in cash. Prefer him a little bit more in tournaments, but we could stack him up with Jane Daniels in our cash lineups, and I'd have no problem with that. Next, we got the tight ends here, and it's very rare you're going to hear me promote or spend up at the tight end position when it comes to our cash game lineups, but this is a week where I do think it makes sense. Davante Adams traded to the New York Jets. Brock Bowers is pretty much the #1 receiver in this offense right now. He should see close to double-digit targets in this matchup, and at $5,800, let's just look at him as a wide receiver. If you said, okay, you're going to give me the #1 pass receiver who's going to see close to double-digit targets at $5,800, yeah, you'd probably be considering that. So I do like him. Will I be able to spend up this week, considering I like Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Kyren Williams? I'm not entirely sure. I'm still building some lineups as we speak. If I'm looking to spend down here, I'm going to go with Sanders of the Carolina Panthers. Tommy Tremble did get back to practice on Thursday in a non-contact jersey, but it sounds like he didn't practice here on Friday, so I do not expect him to play here on Sunday, which means Sanders will be the #1 tight end in that offense. You're essentially punting at the $2,900 price tag here, but I believe he saw 7 targets last week. I absolutely love that at that price. David Njoku should be the #1 pass catcher, or at the very least #2 pass catcher in this offense going forward for the Cleveland Browns, being that Amari Cooper got traded to the Bills. I can't say I'm in love with the play here because Deshaun Watson has truly been garbage this year, but again, if we're looking for volume and opportunity, it should be there for Njoku. And then Zach Ertz, another guy who's just seeing targets week in and week out. Probably not going to be great after the catch, but if you're looking for 8 to 9 DraftKings points at the 4K range, he's probably going to give you that. And as always, going to wrap it up here with the defenses. Got 2 defenses here at $2,500. I just don't foresee myself spending up at the defensive position this week, which is pretty common for me when it comes to my cash game lineup. Look, if you could get up to maybe the Cincinnati Bengals at $3,300 versus Deshaun Watson, they got a really good matchup there, but I'm looking at the Browns here in that same game playing against Joe Burrow. Browns are talented enough on the back end to score some DraftKings points, but again, at this price tag here, $2,500, 3x value, we're looking for what, 7.5 DraftKings points? I don't mind that at all. Same thing here with the Giants playing Philadelphia. I know they look scary on paper. We still got Hurts, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley. Revenge game narrative there. But Giants defense has been solid, and again, $2,500, we're essentially punting. I did rank them in order there. I would prefer to get to the Browns, but if you're on the Giants, again, I don't mind that. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks, and let's win some money on this Week 7 main slate.